is he's back. I think this is your 5th time now, mate. Regular.
But resident now.
Resident on the Granite Zero podcast, mate. It's awesome to have you back on. And I think we should probably start off with the fight. Like,
yeah,
you're probably sick of talking about it, but I actually watched it at work. Like, I was shouting at my phone, all sorts.
Yeah, a lot of my friends did. A lot of my friends, they took their lunch break when he was coming on. They waited.
Yeah, I had some people like a bit further down the corridor going, "What the fuck is he shouting at?" I was a bit shocked by it, mate. If I'm honest, because I thought I actually this might sound biased as fuck, but I thought you did enough to win that fight, and it was either a close victory by yourself or a draw. I don't see why. But this is why I'm not a professional judge or a professional fighter. I'm probably far too biased for this sort of stuff.
So, me personally, when I was in there, I thought I lost. Watching it back, I still think I lost. Only because so the way the scoring system is really weird. So the first round, So MMA reffing is shaky at best. So they're supposed to go off the stats, but they don't really go off the stats. So like the first round, I think I lost mainly due to takedowns. Obviously, the game plan was to come out, nor obviously for a lot of people who don't realize, my game plan was to come out, hold the center, not advance, draw him in, pick him up on the way in and make him make mistakes and make him sort of chase me and catch him and stay on the outside. I come out, he found his range quite quick. To be fair, I didn't feel that comfortable when we first started. I just felt my legs felt a little bit heavy and I just felt a little bit sort of slow on my feet. So it ended up becoming sort of more of an exchange. And then obviously I pushed forwards with my hands low. I made multiple mistakes that my coaches had chewed me out for, I don't know how many times. But main thing in the first round was where I was pushing forwards, I was lazy with my hips, didn't change my level at all. I stayed quite lateral, didn't hit many angles. And it gave him the angle to sort of take those takedowns. The takedowns I got straight back up from, he didn't actually work much. So apparently when I spoke to judges, those takedowns aren't supposed to be scored. Well, obviously, same as everyone watching at home, they still score. They do. You get those takedowns, they still score. So coming into the second round, I knew I was behind. So I sat back in the corner. When we had a chat, they basically said, look, draw him into you. Don't chase him so much. And my striking coach realised that I wasn't going to do that and was like, look, you're behind a round. Don't go in straight lines. Keep your front hand higher. And find your way in. Don't just walk him down. So I went out, walked him down with my hands low, got into basically a brawl, and won the second round, in my opinion, but didn't win it clean enough so that I could honestly sit there and say, oh, I put my house that I had won the second round.
Yeah.
So obviously, if you can't say for sure, which you never can, that you're around each, then it's always better to be net negative. So I literally turned around and said, look, I'm 2 rounds down. I need to push the last round. So in the third round, I had it close, but I had it that I won the first 2 minutes. But most of the scoring, so they don't actually score it. Like, I know a lot of people will do, like, they'll score it as they go around along, score significance, and then they'll sort of tally them up and decide. Most of the time, they just free eyeball it, and they'll just decide who won each round. So, like, they'll say, oh, I won that round, he won that round. So what they do say a lot of the time is, if it's close in the first 2 minutes, then it all comes down to who won the last minute. So if you mute the sound on the fight, because the comedy sort of wasn't complimentary to me, especially DC.
Yeah.
Wasn't that complimentary to me. But if you muted the sound, and watch it back, and you just watch the last minute, the last round. He smashes me, to be honest. Like, not so much with big power shots, but he out volumes me. He outworks, and I just sort of didn't do enough. Like, looking back, he was dead on his feet. Like, people are, like, I always look tired when I never really that tired. I could have done another 2 rounds easy, but what I should have done is taken him down in the last minute, which I had the ability to do. The shots I did earlier on, the takedowns, I was shooting and coming straight up to high. I was getting in nice, I just wasn't doing anything with it. So if I'd shot him, stayed on his hips low, taken him down and controlled the last minute, I would have won the fight. It's easy as that, to be honest. So it just come down to, doesn't matter how you perform, whether you feel 100%, whether you feel 20%, whether you feel, 5%. All that matters is going out there and winning. I went out there with a stupid idea in my head of going out there and sort of trying to finish him too much. I pushed for finish too much. And then after I lost that first round, I just had to make sure I scored more. So I knew I was behind. So I just thought, look, don't worry too much about hitting with too many big power shots. Just worry about hitting him with volume. And again, that's a mistake. You should never try on the scorecards. So I made sure that I hit him with more shots than I hit him. Like, I think my significance was quite a lot higher than his.
Yeah,
but what they said they come down to, like, I spoke to one of the red judges after, and they just said all it come down to really was his significant shots was slightly more significant than your significant shots. So when they come down to it, the stats don't actually matter. All it comes down to really is who the judges think won the fight. Even though I won more control time, more shots, more significant shots, and all the sort of the aggression, it come down to was his significance more significant. So again, another silly mistake. If I'd kept my front hand higher and hadn't let his significance landed so cleanly, I would have won. If I'd taken him down the last minute, I would have won. And it's all these different things that sort of add up. And at the end of the day, if you put it in the judge's hands, you reap what you sow. And that was why there was no excuses on my part. I didn't come around and say, oh, look, I didn't feel good. I didn't perform what I could have done. I should have done this. I should have done that. I just literally put my hands up and said, look, he did better. He won. He deserved to win. I'll be back strong the next one. Because that's all that matters. There's no excuses in this game. Like, I know a lot of fighters.
Yeah. It's like the old saying, he was better on the day in those terms. Yeah. He got the win. And I'm sure you're similar to probably every elite fighter. You're not going to dwell on the loss. You're going to use that as a learning curve, and then take.
Oh yeah, 100%.
As they say, you don't lose, you learn, and take it on to the next one. And you proved your worth when you're in there. At the end of the day, you're coming in from Cage Warriors into the UFC, and you proved that you're meant to be in there. That you were supposed to be in there. You should have been in there ages ago. You know what I mean?
Should have just stopped him. It would have been easier.
should have knocked him out.
Just stopped him. Mate, easier. Just hit him with some big power shots and knock the fucker out. But if like it was a little thing, so like I said little mistakes. Like if I'd set my kicks up with my hands a bit better, because my spins were clean. I just didn't set them up. If I'd set it up, it would have landed and different things. And like I did, like I said, I'm not making any excuses. I just didn't feel 100% in there. Like obviously something that I wouldn't really say after, because like I said, I don't believe in giving excuses. Like it doesn't matter whether. Well, put it this way. John Jones has had 15 title fights or defenses, and he's no lost a single one of them. Obviously, Habib's had 30 something odd fights, or however much fights he's had, and he's never lost a single one of them. 29, I think he's had. So
yeah,
these guys are going to turn around and say, "Look, I didn't feel 100%." Because a lot of the time they probably haven't felt 100%. They probably got into these fights and not felt awesome.
Yeah.
They still won. That's again all that matters.
And you get that a lot, and it's like I think Brendan Schaub has said fucking however many times on the Fighter and the Kid and Below the Belt and what have you. No fighter really goes in 100%, do you? Because you're training that much, you're sparring, you're doing that, you're picking up. You're always going to have something. It's like you said, you got to you accept the loss, and then you move on. You lick your wounds and move on. But what I really wanted to like get your take on it is obviously you've come from what were you? You were 10-0 when you went in, so you were fucking up there, fucking flying high, double champion in Cage Warriors, going in there, and then unfortunately you don't get the win. So you've gone from up there and then you're down there. How have you dealt with that, like in your head?
So I do wish we'd done an interview before I got in there. So I did an interview before the fight, and someone asked me how you handle pressure of being 10-0 as undefeated fighter. And I said, look, I'm not 10-0. I said, I'm 0-0. I said, it's a new start. I said, UFC's a new start. I said, it's what matters is how many fights you do in the UFC. It doesn't matter what you do before it. Like, you could come out, you could be going in there with I could be going in there with a 35-0 record. I could be going in there with the way some people do with like a 6-2 record. All that matters is your record in the UFC. And unfortunately now it means you're going into the UFC with a 0-1 record. So that means obviously I'm hungry. And it just means I got to work a lot harder. So obviously I'm a bit flat today. I've been ill the past 2 days. So I went and got COVID test today to make sure I'm ultra safe. So I'll find that out in the next 12 hours. Or 24 hours. Obviously, I'm in until I find the results, and then we'll see whether I need to isolate or whether I need to stay in. So everyone's staying in. But I'm slightly flat today. I've had a headache for like 3 days, and I haven't felt the best. So that's why I look like shit. But
I know that feeling, mate. I know that feeling all too well, and it's nothing worse than
dreadful, man.
Having that flat feeling and not feeling well as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Fucking horrible.
Yeah,
I had the similar thing with the headache and whatnot. I ended up getting COVID tested and then scared the shit out of the missus. So she took the kids and her to go get COVID tested just in case. I was like, look, I've got a fucking headache. She was like, yeah, but it's a symptom. I was like, oh, fucking hell.
Better to be safe. Always better to be
safe. It is, mate. Especially at the minute. It's better to be safe, mate. And
of course. Well, like you said, I got tested this morning, 10 o'clock, and it was my 11th COVID test.
Fucking hell.
I had 9 with the UFC or 10 with the UFC before that fight, and during that fight they tested me literally every 10 minutes. No, it is 11, right? Because I had 2. Yeah, 11.
So you're just used to it now. You're there just plodding away and someone just shoves the fucking thingy up your nose, a little play about, pull it out.
When other people do it, it's not a problem. It's when you do it yourself, it's so much worse when you do it yourself.
I had to do mine myself. And I was trying to put it up my nose, and I was like, I don't understand what the fuck this is. I don't know if I've gone far enough up, but this is disgusting. And then obviously the one down the back of the throat. Funnily enough, Mason, you might enjoy this. I actually have no gag reflex, so having something down the back of my throat is perfectly fine. Oh, so my boyfriend says.
I did my back, my throat. I was pecking, my eyes are watering. The boys just sat there watching me in the car window, trying not to laugh.
Yeah, I've got a funny story about how I discovered I had no gag reflex. So when I went through my
was this in the army?
Yeah. Funnily enough, when I was going through my battlefield medics course, we had to learn about the different airways to put in if someone's like can't breathe, obviously. And it's called a giggle airway. And basically you measure it from your ear to your mouth, and that's how big it is. It's a long tube, about that long. And what you do, you're supposed to do it when you're unconscious, obviously. So, because there'll be no gag reflex then. So you put it in and you twist it around. So I had this fucking long one for whatever reason. I could put it in, spin it around. Everyone was fucking pissing their pants. Like, Tommo, you got no gag reflex. Your boyfriend's gonna love that, isn't he? It's like, oh, fuck off with you.
I say you probably did it a few times, didn't you?
I did, mate. Just get the practice in. Why not? You know, Valentine's Day.
Oh God.
Tell you what I've been enjoying, mate.
I was thinking you all good?
Yeah, mate. I'm good. Yeah, I was just saying then. I put it on. I was catching up yesterday while I was cooking the dinner. I'm enjoying your little YouTube, the day in the life of you and all that. You taking your dog out for a walk. You could call it a dog, I suppose. Your little
Whoa, no.
Toy animal.
She's a
Your little
monster,
toy
man.
animal.
She's a monster.
No, it's good, mate. I actually love those sort of things, like the day in the life of. It's like, it's fucking. Obviously, I know because I speak to you quite regularly, but it's like it's a fucking normal bloke, isn't he? Just trains a lot, cuts about, taking his dog for a walk.
Trains a lot. Love training. But I hope. Well, the way it's going at the moment, I'm hoping to be out in the States from mid-March. So as soon as I'm out there, obviously it'll be a bit better.
Yeah, a bit warmer as well, mate.
A bit better. Oh, mate, I hate the cold. Abu Dhabi was lovely. 25 degrees.
I bet it was.
Oh.
Shit. And then you come home to this shit.
I didn't come back with a tan, man. Didn't come back with a tan.
Well, you wouldn't, would you?
Tan.
Like me, mate. I don't fucking tan either.
I do eventually. It just takes a long time. But this time, to be honest, like I couldn't go in the sun before the fight because obviously when I was cutting weight and stuff, I dehydrate quite easy. So obviously I wouldn't have been able to rehydrate properly. I want to make sure I got everything done. So I stayed out the sun before the fight, and then we had like 3 days after the fight to smash the sun in before we went home. So we did as much as possible.
Yeah, is it all free out there for you as well? You're just cutting about, just eating whatever you want after. Fucking living the life.
How heavy do you think I went in kilos?
How heavy did you get?
Yeah, so I weighed in on the night before the fight, the morning before the fight at 70 kilos, 70.5 keys. How heavy do you think I was 2 days after the fight?
Oh, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna say you put on quite a bit, but I'm not 100% sure how much you would have put on. But I'm gonna probably say you put on a good fucking 8 kilos or something like that, something crazy. Or are you gonna tell me you're gonna put on more?
So when I fought, I was 80 kilos when the time I fought. I always got up to about 80K by the time I fight. And then 2 days after the fight, or 3 days after the fight, I went up to 84.5K.
So you put on 14 kilos?
Well, more like 15. 14, 15 with like just a lot of water.
A lot of water. No bread.
By the time I got home, by the time we got back, my coach was like, if you're gonna have a few days off, like you need to be careful what you eating because like you're just swelling. Like my face just was massive. That's why Mados calls me Fat Ricky Hatton.
Yeah, Ricky Fatten. Yeah, funnily enough, right?
I had 4. Go on.
I actually said that to one of my pals, going back to the fight now. He said, "Oh, but mate had loads of cuts and that," and I went, "Well, yeah, he's got Ricky Hatton skin, isn't he? He's gonna blemish and look like he's been hit because the scar tissue and shit like that."
I didn't have one cut. It was just I had a black eye. I'll send you a photo of what I looked at 2 days. My eye actually swelled closed, my left one, but I had a black eye with this one, and then his thumb went in my eye a little bit here. The cut I had here, I literally, one of my training partners gave me my last training session before I left out.
Motherfucker.
We literally doing a drill at the end, threw his head back and split my eye open, which was fantastic. And then
that's what you want.
Yeah, so yeah, well, I can tell you a good story about that actually. So the UFC do medical tests pre-fight.
Yeah.
You'll like us. You'll have to stick with me as well because I'll make you guess certain things. So the eye test for cage warriors, you just go to a normal eye, whatever they're called. Like I normally go to Phillips Opticians, and they do an extensive eye test. Normally costs me about £45. So the tests for UFC, it's only recently as well. So it's my guess since the all Mike Bisping I can fight with one eye thing. They've tightened up on the eye exams. You have to go to I can't say the proper words. I'm not going to try and say it. It's basically an eye surgeon. You have to go to an eye specialist to get the eye test done. Right. So a little bit of a mix-up. I'm not going to go into too much because I don't want to get told off. But it ended up I had to get all my medicals done the first week of New Year's of the new year. So the first was a Friday, the second was a Saturday, the third was a Sunday, the fourth was a Monday, which was mostly bank holiday, I think. So then, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, the fourth. So then I couldn't really get anything done until Tuesday the 5th. That was the first day. A lot of the eye places were taken over medals. So I put my eye test in for the Tuesday, and then I booked my bloods, my physical, and everything on the Thursday, all booked in. So all sorted. We checked with UFC medical. They said, yeah, that's perfect. That'll work well. UFC Travel got in touch and said, look, you have to be in London on the 6th. I said, oh, that's not possible. I've got my medals booked in for the 7th. They said, look, you'll have to sort that out. Otherwise, you'll have to sort of basically sort your own flights out, Abby. If I want to go on the chartered flight, I had to get everything done.
Yeah.
Before the 6th. So that meant I obviously had to get everything done on the Tuesday. There was nowhere else really before it. So I rang loads of places to try and get my doctor's physical done. Or they literally said they could change it from the 7th to the 5th. Right, so all sorted. So I changed that to the 5th from the 7th. And then the eye test I had on the 5th, I rang up to see if I could get either earlier or later. So they couldn't do that. So in the end, I had to ring loads of the places trying to find a place with this eye specialist who could do this eye test. Couldn't find it anyway. So my management team found a place in London. They were one of the only places to go back. So that was all booked in. So what I was going to do was get my physicals done in Cardiff, drive from Cardiff to London, get my eye test done in London, and then drive back to go back to London the next day. So all good. So I drove to London. After the doctor's physical went fine. Obviously, I think I filmed some of this. I don't think I did. But that all went fine. And then I drove to London to see this eye specialist, parked the car up, had everything sorted, made good time, went in. And this is where the fun starts now. So so guess how much it was to start. So just guess how much a consultation was with this eye doctor.
Oh, this for an eye doctor in London, that's going to be fucking ridiculous.
So a normal optician's test is £45. How much do you think it was for an eye doctor in London?
I'm gonna go with probably about 250 quid.
230. So it's good. £235 what it was, right? So £235, perfect for consultation. So we sat down. He went through this form, started taking everything off, looked at my eyes. And then he went, it was a joke from start of finish. He said, I do know who you are. He said, I looked you up. He said, when your manager spoke to me, he said, you've got a big fight coming up soon, haven't you? I said, yeah. I said, obviously I need to be back in London tomorrow. I said, we're leaving tomorrow. We're leaving Thursday. We got to go into isolation before we fly. Right, perfect, no worries. Went through it. He said, so obviously UFC would be big money. I said, well, not really. I said, when you start off, it's not that much. He said, obviously you've got to work your way up. And you could see him like, obviously not believing me at all. So I thought, he's going to try and filch me a bit there now. So he said, you've got this little bit of a cut on cheek. I said, it's not really a cut. I said, it's more of a abrasion where it's being pulled. I said, I went to see a doctor friend of mine. They checked it over and they said it doesn't need anything. I said, it'll heal on its own. I'll be fine thing. He said, but that's it. And they said the name of the clinic. Well, I'm obviously not going to say. Like to pride ourselves on going into detail. I went, all right. He said, so what I'm going to need you to see a colleague of mine. I was like, right. I'm a specialist when it comes to like the circle of the eye, whatever it's called. He's an actual specialist for eyelids, right? So lucky enough, he's upstairs. I'll take you up straight after this, and he should be able to fit you in. Right, perfect. So he said, I've noticed something on the back of your one eye. He said, it's nothing big. I said, he said, have you ever heard anything about the score? I said, yeah. I said, it's come up. They've told me it's basically like what's equivalent to like a birthmark. He said, yeah, it is, but there's a little bit of wrinkles next to it. He said, I'm not quite happy with it. He says, what I'm going to do, he said, I've got another specialist who specialists in the back of the eye. He said,
Yeah.
so he'll come in and give me a second opinion on that. I said, well, look, I don't need a second opinion. I said, I'm more than happy for you just to fill the form in. I said, sign it off. I said, go. I said, obviously, it doesn't need, I seen so-and-so like to go into detail. I was like, right, okay, no worries. It's just, I said, whatever happens, I just need to get this form signed. Perfect. So by the time I walked out of the room, my phone had gone off. I answered. It was the specialist to see the back of my eye. They wanted £400 just to come in to look at me, right? So I said, have I got any other choice? She went, no. Perfect. So I paid £400 over the phone for the specialist to come in and look back at my eye. Went upstairs to see this other guy. Waited outside. Walked in. I was waiting for another. There was some woman in there crying because she was getting filched. So they brought me in. He literally got rubbing alcohol, rubbed it into the cut. Tweezers pulled the scab off, reopened the cut, looked under a telescope and said, "Oh, it is basically an abrasion." He said, "Because I've reopened it now, I'm gonna put some cosmetic stitches in there." I said, "Look," I said, "I don't want any stitches. It's not deep enough." I said, "It's not deep enough, really." He said, "Oh, I know it's not, but the cosmetic stitches will make it go like look. Obviously, it'll be tidy." I said, "Look," I said, "Can you?" I said, "That's not really like I don't need it." I said, "I'm not going to pay you for cosmetic stitches in." He said, "All right, fine." He said, "I'll just put some paper stitches on there." Put paper stitches on and charge me about £250. So bearing in mind, I already spent almost £1,000, and I basically got nowhere yet. So he signed me off for that. Took the form. Said, "Yeah, that's all fine." He said, "You'll be able to sign the form now. Get the form signed from that part. That cut's all fine." So bearing in mind, it was all fine to start. He just wanted to mess with it and then put paper stitches on it for no reason at all. Went back downstairs now, seen this other eye specialist to look at the back of my eye. Went in, he did all this testing on it. He said, "Look," he said, "What's happened is," he said, "sometime in your life," he said, "you've had a bit of a big blow to the eye." He said, obviously it's been a few years ago, not just since you started your career, because it's almost completely healed." He said, "There's no damage there." He said, where you've got a sort of like a birthmark," he said, "it's a bit of a wrinkle on the side, right?" I said, "Well, what does that mean?" He said, "It could be nothing." He said, but it could also be the signs. He mentioned some name. He said, "So what could happen is," he said, "where you take a big impact, it could increase your chances of you getting a detached retina." I said, "Right, perfect. By how much?" He said, "Oh, minuscule amounts, minuscule." I said, "How much minuscule?" He said, "Oh, well, for a known person, we wouldn't do anything with it. For anyone else in a combat sport, we wouldn't really do anything with it." But he said, because the form says any like sort of, I forgot the word, any tears untreated, he said, "I can't sign the form unless you get treated." So I was like, right. He said, "So I'm going to have to do laser on your one eye." I said, "All right." So he said, "For me to do the laser," he said, "it's going to cost me £1,000. He said, "And then for me to actually do the test, it's going to cost an extra £200. Right." I said, "Is there any way I can get this form signed today?" He said, "No, not with us, unless you pay for it." So I paid £1,200 to have this done now. So what are we up to now? £2,200 so far.
Yeah.
For an eye test, right? So he did this treatment now, lasered my eye, basically had me bloody jumping in the chair, horrendous. And then I went back out. I went to the front desk to pay £2,200. He thought, "Ain't too bad." He said, "I've just been paid sponsorship, £2,500. I had to make some purchases, different stuff before. So I could just about make dues. I borrowed some money off my old man. I was like, look, it's fine. It's no problem. By the time I get paid now, it's just like literally it's like one of my sponsor payments. It's what I pay for. Obviously, I would have preferred to be able to use it for living expenses, but it is what it is. Obviously, cut our full-time guy, it doesn't matter as long as I get a fight. Went back to the front desk. Right, so you've got one payment left of 200 and something odd pound. I was like, "No, I don't." It was like, "Yeah, you do. You got one payment." So what it is, he said, is it's £50 for us. It was like coming up for us to obviously for you to do all your treatments today. You've got to pay for the clinic fees for us to sort of do all your paperwork. This, right? Perfect. And there's a £200 fee for the first doctor, the one who I paid the consultation fee with. For him to message the two other doctors for their report, and for him to sign the form, he was going to charge me an extra £200 plus.
Fucking hell.
I was like, surely, I said, my consultation payment counts for that. She said, no, consultation is just for him to consult you. For him to actually sign the form, he's going to charge you an extra £200, basically. So I ended up going out there paying £2,500 and then paying £500 for which was normal cost for my bloods, my doctor's examination. I had a full, what's it called? Chest, like an ECG and something else. Like that was a normal price. They gave me a good price for that actually in Cardiff. London, £2,500 for an eye test, plus the fuel I paid on the way up, plus the fuel, plus the something else, plus the food and stuff. I obviously had to pay up there, so I ended up paying over £3,200, I think.
Yeah, as you do. Fucking hell, fucking London. Yeah. Look, take the piss, these cockneys.
What was worse? When I spoke to my manager, the guy who normally does all his fighters in Cardiff, because it was a bank holiday, he hadn't got in touch. Like, not so much he hadn't got in touch, but he was obviously celebrating the New Year's and obviously didn't really want to answer his phone. Being an eye specialist doctor, do you know what I mean? Like, why would they? So he had got back in touch just before I went up and said, like, I'll help you out. I'll be able to see your fight there. He has all his fighters pass through him. So obviously he's not the type of person to rip me off, because he understands if he rips me off, then obviously my manager will find someone else to do it. So
find someone
he gets
else.
loads of fights passed through him for obviously what's still going to be about £400 a time. So it's still a good decent money for him. So he probably would have seen me and I'm being sad, dodging around the extra payments on one of the things. So even if I need a laser, they still would have cost me at maximum £1,000. So he had messaged the day before I went up, my manager, saying that obviously he can fit me in. Well, my manager had thought that I had paid a booking fee to book into that place and paid the consultation fee up front, where I hadn't paid anything. So if I just cancelled my appointment and gone to see him, I probably would have saved about £1,500. But it is what it is. I got to fight. My IL current, so who wouldn't mind?
You got a bonus out of the fight, so
yeah. Well, I mean, I haven't had that yet. I haven't had my bonus money yet.
Oh, they need to hurry up, mate.
That's taking his time.
Taking the piss, isn't they? Can't find you in the valleys, mate.
Honestly. In there, don't work out. They can't find me.
Can't find you hiding, mate, in those valleys, in the snowy valleys. Oh, mate. So now you're like in an off season, as it were. You ain't got a fight lined up. I wouldn't ask you anyway, because obviously you probably won't be able to divulge if you did have one.
I'm looking at around summer, early summer.
Oh, happy days. But obviously you like to be active and do your fucking parachuting and all that sort of shit to keep your adrenaline going. What? So yeah, exactly. So you're banned because of obviously this fucking current climate to win. You must be bouncing off the walls, mate. Obviously you're allowed to train because you're an elite fighter and an elite athlete, should I say. So training you're allowed to do. How else are you filling your time now with the fact that you're not allowed to do anything apart from train?
To be fair, I've got a decent setup at the moment. So most of the time, I go to my striking session in the mornings. We do an hour and a half of striking. Then I'll go from there either to a friend of mine owns a gym in Pontypool, who's obviously not allowed to open. So I pay him basically peanuts. I think I'm paying the electric bill for the month every time I go in. I pay like £10 a session to rent the gym.
Oh yeah.
He basically didn't want to take money off me, but I said I had to give him something. So I pay £10 for me. I told my coaches to go in and sort of lift 3 times a week. And then the other days I do my cardio. And then I go home, eat, have a sleep, walk the dog. And then most of the time then I'll go back in the night and do a session in the night. So there's a couple of us who are elite. There's me, there's a couple of boys who are on the sort of Cage Warriors roster, and a couple of ones who can train at the moment. So the gym's been running sort of regular. They run 6 days a week. So obviously at the minute now, we come back and we had to isolate for 10 days, even though we'd come from a UFC bubble where they tested us 9 times. And they COVID tested me so many times. I was fed up with people putting stuff. I felt like black sheep, mate. Honestly, people were putting that many things up my nose. I felt I understood how my brother must feel on most weekends. But
yeah, violating you, mate.
But honestly, they. But we come back, and then obviously we've made 10 days. So obviously I did that. I would never break the rules and go back to training without isolating for 10 days. Obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously. So I had a lovely week off, and then an extra 3 days. I was gonna have a week off, and anyway, so I did stay clear of the gym for a week. I didn't really isolate.
Well, let's face it, you fighters as a fighters as a whole.
Someone's trying to slap on me or not. Like we'd isolate for 2 weeks.
Oh, I believe he might have connection issues. Standard.
Oh, we're coming back, mate. Coming back slowly. What is going on with this fucking thing?
It's even worse, I
think we got you, mate.
Sean?
Way back in. Oh, it's my connection. There we go. There we go. You back? I'm back.
It's always going to be my Wi-Fi, but it's always going to be me.
It might be, but I can hear you. I can hear you now. I don't know if you can hear me yet. Standard, mate. This is how we roll on the Granite Zero podcast. I'd have no idea if I'm recording or if he's recording. But, you know, that's what we'll do. While we've got a
good Wi-Fi.
Good Wi-Fi in the valleys, mate. Good Wi-Fi. Oh, it's frozen again, isn't it? No, I think we're good.
No, I can see you.
Oh, happy days. Oh, I can't even remember where we got to, mate. It just
everyone's stuck at home, isn't they? So everyone's on their Wi-Fi. It's the worst.
Yeah, that's what it is, mate. And my two are probably playing with fucking Roblox and on YouTube and all sorts. But you know, still there. He's still there.
So before we broke, he was asking me what I was doing stuff. I'm still there.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, that was it. And I think we've pretty much got.
Am I still here?
Yours. Yeah. I think we've still got most of what you were saying, that you still managed to get in and train and what have you, and then the internet died. First world problems, mate.
Yeah.
Internet connection. It's gone all fucking gay on me again, is.
Yeah, it's good.
I'll tell you what we'll do.
See this helps.
We'll see if that helps.
It really is. This has probably made it worse.
Oh no, you're all right, mate. You're all right. Why have you got a tape measure?
Back.
Something to fiddle with. All that air.
That's having my eyes out. This is, mate.
Are you back, Sean? Hi, Sean.
Hiya, mate. He booted me out then. He was like, nah, you fuck off. And then comes back. It's like, this fucking thing.
Literally,
Well, I think
Sean Thomas is left. It's like, Sean Thompson is left. Right, Sean.
he's just gone, mate. He's had enough of his own podcast. He's just gone, nah, fuck this, I'm out. But, mate, what I'm going to do is, mate, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. So I know you're feeling rough. You're a bit flat. You've got a headache. You've got all the COVID tests up your nose. So I'm going to let you crack on with the rest of your Sunday, mate. Take your dog out for a walk. Spend some quality Valentine's time with
I'm
Mad.
just going back. I go back to bed.
Yeah,
Go back to bed.
Back to bed. Have a little fucking nap, mate. And I'm gonna go and entertain those two creatures that I've got in my house. Probably watch a movie or something. Sunday is family day. So
yeah. When 100%. When COVID is over, whenever COVID is finally over, we'll pop up to you. We'll do a proper podcast in person, and obviously talk for days on end.
We'll have a proper.
We'll do a long one.
I'll make sure the schedule is fit for a champ. Definitely, mate. And I know, Little Brown.
I'll speak to you soon, then, mate.
Yeah, I know Darren's getting his studio set up today as well, so we'll have to do one in Hereford as well and have a beefy boys out of it.
Yeah, 100%. Anytime for you boys, you know what? Right, I'll speak to you soon. So you've got my number. Anytime you need me, mate, just drop me a message because I'm terrible on Instagram now. All my notifications are off.
Too famous now, mate. That's what it is. Cheers again, mate.
Mate, nearly 20,000 Instagram. Am I nearly 20,000? I'm on nearly 19, so it's getting closer to the 20. Big 20.
Big 20, mate. Right.
Madness.
I'll catch
right.
you, mate.
Speak to you soon.
Stay safe.